Alright, today we're going to talk about why I think Path of Exile is definitely the best game I've ever played in my life. So, just want to preface this or start this by saying I have no goddamn idea how to edit, do any of that stuff. So I'm just gonna, just gonna wing it. I have some bullet points here, and we're just gonna move on from there. So I kind of got this idea because I saw, a few months ago that Al Kaiser had made a similar video to this about how, Path of Exile is probably the best game he's ever played, and it got me thinking because I'm like, yeah, it probably is. This game's fucking amazing. So let's kind of get into why. So, let's start out with before I even got into the whole RPG genre. I actually used to hate these games a lot when I was a lot younger. I'm only 18, only. But when I was a lot younger, um, my dad would have me play like D3, and I think when I was like shit, I don't even know, very young, like maybe 5 or 6, probably younger than that maybe. We like briefly played Diablo 2 together, and then my mom kicked me off because she didn't like that I was seeing blood and stuff. But I had started playing D3 a little bit, and it was kind of fun. I made it to like the Paragons or some stuff. I don't remember. It was shaky memory. But my first real introduction into these sort of games, other than D3, was D4. So D4 was coming out, and I still hadn't liked these games. But my sister and dad were, really pushing me like, hey, yo, you need to really try this game. It's looking to be pretty good. And in hindsight, um, uh, we know where D4 is at now. But I had a lot of fun with it actually. First season of D4, I got to, like level 80 on a rogue playing like a penetrating shot build after twisting blades and stuff, and it was really fun. But, I had briefly, very briefly throughout my few weeks playing, D4 and into months playing D4, heard about Path of Exile. And I remember I was watching like an Asmongold short or whatever. Um, and I was looking at the game, I'm like, yo, this looks epic. Like this looks sick as hell. So, so right after I watched this video, I started looking on Steam about Path of Exile, and it was on Steam. So I'm like, shit, I might have to get this because it was free. And I looked at some videos, and I saw this passive tree. I was like, oh fuck, all right, we're getting into some territory here now, aren't we? Um, and boy did I. So my first experience playing Path of Exile, I wouldn't say it was bad. I'm always willing to learn, especially if it's something that I find interesting. But after like 20 something hours, I was still in like Act 2, barely made it to Act 3. I didn't have a guide, or I looked up like Zizarin's like Toxic Rain guide, but I didn't have a campaign guide, and that probably would have helped. Uh, I got to like my first ascendancy or something, like just actually at the end of Act 3, yeah. Yeah, we go to the High Gardens and get your final thing. And was gonna play Pathfinder, Toxic Rain Pathfinder. And then after a while, I kind of quit. I think a new season of Diablo came out. I I started right before Trial of the Ancestors came out. It was like literally a few days before Trial of the Ancestors was gonna come out, and I was kind of interested in the game, but after 20 hours and not really feeling like I was making any progress, I kind of just quit. And then I stopped playing till Toto was pretty much gone, and Affliction came out. I think Affliction was the league afterwards. Yeah. And Affliction was where I was like, I was seeing all the massive loot explosions, and the neuron in my brain that likes that shit popped off, and I started playing again, and that's when I made my first character really that actually popped off. It was like a fucking bone shattered juggernaut or some shit like that. It was really really good. I think it was from a Zizarin video as well, or Karin, I don't know, but very good build, and I had a shit ton of fun. And I noticed that I was putting in a lot more hours than I normally would have on pretty much any other game. Um, and even now, I have 1,400 hours on the game after, well, however long it's been since Toda came out. And I still feel like a brand new player sometimes, I'm not gonna lie. But moving on a little bit, so played Affliction, and I liked it a lot. Kept moving on, and then I think I took a break from Necropolis. So like I put like 500 hours into Affliction. It was really really good. And obviously the whole learning experience for me. But I quit after Necropolis, or didn't quit, but took a break during Necropolis because I was like turbo burnt out because I'd been playing so much Affliction. Never got anything very useful out of Affliction. I think like I met some dude and he gave me a headhunter. Community's very nice, by the way. Now I didn't get bored because of that, but that was towards kind of the end of my 500-hour play session that I was doing, and I made like a tornado shot character, which is still one of my favorite builds to this day. Sometimes I go back on standard just to do a couple maps with it, but yeah. So stopped playing Necropolis, but well, actually no, I made a build during Necropolis. It was Ice Nova Frost Bolts or some shit like that, Archmage, something like that. I don't know, but it was a good build. But I was really burnt out. So fast forward to Settlers of Calgur. So I hadn't played pretty much any Necropolis at that point, other than that one build that I got through campaign and stopped playing. So Calgur is like looking to be really hype or whatever, and I get back into it with my friend, my buddy, and shit, one hell of a league, let me tell you. I think I started playing Elemental Hit of the Spectrum, I think. Yeah. And, throughout the league, I made probably like 15 something different characters, just trying so many different builds, because that's one of the best parts of this game, is just you can really make whatever. Now, I didn't make these, obviously, because fuck that, I'm stupid, right? You think I could make a build on here? I've done that once, and it actually went okay, but I was playing like Power Siphon from like Jungron, and Lightning Strike, Ephemeral Edge I saw from like Jungron, and what's his name, Zizarin. So that was good. And once again, kind of got me thinking. I'm like, I've been playing this game for so long, I just can't seem to get bored. So let me pull up a bullet point here I was thinking about, because I'm thinking about why I've played this game for so long, and how I just never really seem to get bored of it. I'm always like super excited for the next league, especially Calgar, because Calgar has been here for like 7-8 months or something like that. We're currently in free show, so I mean this is technically its own league, but I think one of the things that makes this game feel so good to play for so long is obviously just the end game progression. Like I have 115 Atlas here. I actually just did this recently because I low-key slept on this, but from almost an SSF perspective of playing through it, the game's progression is really good. We don't have the Atlas tree here, but I just love being able to kind of pinpoint, like target farm certain things I need to do. Like I know when I was playing SSF, I was playing like Righteous Fire Chieftain, and one of the things I was really, 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 really excited to grind for was after I started doing like Elder Guardian maps and shit like that. To make like a life recovery on block shield or something like that. It was really, really nice. And I still actually have that character. But the SSF experience is, I really feel like what Path of Exile is all about. Don't get me wrong, trade, like I'm playing softcore trade right now. But the trade experience is really good too, other than trading sometimes. It's nice. I have a little bit of money here, and Mage Blood, Conjure Touch, Endagon, all that shit. But SSF was kind of its own experience for me that I absolutely loved. I had just got burnt out a little bit from playing all those different characters during Calgary, and I was like, what if I tried SSF? So I did kind of quote unquote my own Toxic Green Pathfinder. I looked at some gym setups and I kind of just did my own tree. Um, I ended up fixing it later because it wasn't very good, but I did that, Toxic Rain setup. I'll move my mic away a little bit. So, and I got to like 216s before I was like, you know what? This is pretty good, but I want to see if I can make like a better mapper. So, I looked at like Pox's Righteous Fire Chieftain, and I was like, you know what? I could definitely make that an SSF, and I think it is an SSF build. It's really, really good, and just the progression feels so good that even in Trade League, really, I always feel like no matter what I'm doing, fuck, I could be farming strong boxes right now like I am. I got the idols and shit for that. But farming, oh wait, whoops, wrong idols. These ones. But I'm farming strong boxes, and no matter what, I always feel like I'm working towards something. But in SSF is kind of a different experience where, I could be grinding harvest, uh, and I'm working on like so many different crafts for harvest where I'm trying to get I think it's the wildlife force for uh the life modifiers and shit like that. There's grinding so much. I mean the game is I couldn't explain all the content because I barely know like half the mechanics. I do like I do like harvest, delirium, strong boxes, betrayal, and legion sometimes. That's pretty much all I do. Especially harvest. I love harvest. Harvest is my favorite. But I like the longer I play this game, even though I'm learning so many different things, um, I always feel like there's still so much more to learn. I see people who are like, hey, I have like 500, 600 hours in this game, on Reddit or something like that, and they're saying, hey, I still feel like a new player, or like, I barely know shit, and I was like, bro, I'm right there with you. Now, my knowledge compared to probably your average, new player is obviously a lot higher, but sometimes it doesn't feel like that. You know what I mean? So, moving on a little bit from that. Um, oh yeah, sorry if this video just kind of seems a little bit everywhere, because it kind of is. But I just had a bunch of thoughts that I want to get out there. This game is truly fucking amazing. So, actually, not moving on a little bit. So most like SSF and hardcore. I played a little bit of hardcore. Um, I got two characters, actually three characters to the campaign. One of them was like a minion summoner, and got through the campaign pretty easily. And then I died on like my second map in like gardens or something. I was just like playing like a complete bot. It wasn't fire res cap. They had exposure and extra fire damage. I just got one shot, so that was a little bit of a bummer. But I was right back to it the next day. But the next two characters I made was Detonate Dead Necromancer, or Detonate Dead a Chain Reaction Necromancer, and Power Siphon Trickster. Those two builds are still alive to this day. One of them's like level 80 something, the other one's like also level 80 something. Or it might be like 79, but I never played them a ton, but I really wanted the hardcore experience. And after playing hardcore, I could definitely see why it's like a lot of fun. Um, and same with SSF, they were both SSF hardcore. Um, so I kind of got like the dual experience where like everything you do is your own progress, which is why it feels so fulfilling. Um, and it feels like a puzzle where um, you have so many avenues you can go down to your build, so many ways you can fix a problem on your build, and it's like you're trying to put the puzzle pieces together, and after a while, excuse me, after a while, you get a build where you feel like all the puzzle pieces have finally fit together. And now there's obviously other pieces of the puzzle you can add on to, because that's one of the best things about this game is it feels like every goddamn build you play can just infinitely scale to the roof. I've never had a mirror build before. I think this is actually my most expensive character I've ever made. Yeah, this is my first league. I got Mage Blood. We'll get into that in a minute, but it just feels so good to play this game. So many ways to work around problems, and everything feels in your control. Even with the RNG that's in this game, especially on SSF, like RNG could not be your friend sometimes, but everything feels like 99% in your control, and I love that so much. I feel like a lot of other games I play, because I played a lot of other games, not necessarily MMOs, but like uh, just games that have a shit ton of grind in them. That you're kind of just not really in control of what you're getting, or there's no real ways to, you know, solve those problems as easily as they are in Path of Exile. Not to say that some of the solutions are easy, but there's always many routes to go down. So that's why I feel like the game is kind of a puzzle in a way, and it really tickles my brain when I gotta put them together and shit like that. Looking up a guide for a single problem I have or stuff. It just I may not be doing it myself sometimes, but I do really like it. It's a lot of fun. And just the progression in general. I mean, going through all the maps, this never gets boring for me. I know a lot of people are probably going to be like, oh my god, you have to do every single one of these maps, every league. And it's like, yeah, you do, but, that's part of the fun. It's kind of similar to the campaign where, you know, my first few times doing the campaign, I'm gonna be honest, I fucking hated it. It was not very fun. I'm like, why can't this be like D4? Why can't I skip it? And now that I have 1400 hours in Path of Exile, but I kind of recognize this a lot before, even 1,000 hours is a lot of the progression of the campaign is where a lot of the fun is for me. Um, and trying to do the campaign as fast as possible is also really fun. I remember starting out, like, my first campaign took me like 30 hours, and then I got like the quick reference act guide or whatever. It's on like PoE Vault or some shit like that. And, it took like 12 hours and 11 hours and then 10 hours, and then, just kept going down as I, kept playing through the campaign, and then I actually, started learning the builds I was playing a little more and not being as inefficient as I normally would. And, this league actually, this like Freesia event, I got my fastest campaign I've ever had before, which is 4.5 hours. And, I mean, that felt so good to do. And it kind of has the indirect benefit of you get to make a shit ton more money starting out, because I assume your average player is not getting even like a 6 to 7 hour completion. I feel like it's kind of above that. But not to, stroke my own cock very much. Point is, campaign. I actually really enjoy it now. I feel like after Free Shiz over, I'm probably gonna start learning how to speedrun the campaign a lot better, because I don't really know how to do shit like vendor walking and stuff like that. But I'd love to learn, and I just have a lot of fun with it. So, moving on. I always have I've never felt the motivation that I've had in this game before with really any other game. I have games where I've put 5,000 hours into them, or um, just hundreds of hours, really, right? But I have just been like this currently. I think it's been out for like 2 weeks or something now, something like that. But and 2 weeks may not seem like a lot right now, but to play this game every day for multiple hours for 2 weeks straight, I've never done that with another game before. Seriously, maybe once or twice, but this game has been consistent since Affliction, and the start of Settlers. I've just been playing constantly. I definitely took a break during the middle of Settlers, but I came back, and then Freesia came out. So I've just been doing this constantly, and you know, once again, I'm on that part where making builds is just so much fun to do. So the motivation that I feel is just so high, and I don't really know what it is. Oh, this guy wants to buy my kicks. Hold on, we sell it to bro. But I feel like it's just like so many things with the game. Um, I'm I'd say I'm a pretty easy person to please. This game does it very well. I like constantly getting upgrades and currency and stuff like that. Literally my favorite thing I've been doing pretty much every day since this league came out has been strong boxes. I've just been, running the strong box strat, making tons of currency and shit like that. Very fun. And hearing the little, like the shit like that, and the tanks from Divines and stuff. I could just listen to that all day, right? And just in general, blasting through maps, just running through them, killing enemies and stuff like that. It's just fun for me. I mean, shit, I've killed a decent amount of monsters this league. Almost did 2 million. I have like a 200k on my other character that I used a tier 17 farm. So, game gives me, or I just have a shit ton of motivation to play the game, really. So, kind of going back to fixing problems that your build might have, and the whole puzzle thing, is that everything you do in this game, I think I may have mentioned this like briefly before. I don't really remember. Bad memory. But everything you do is always making progress towards something. You know, I could be getting map completion while, you know, getting currencies, you know, upgrade my build, or in SSF, I could be farming maps, and then, you know, every now and then hitting a harvest with that stream, getting some of that juice to make my build stronger, that way I can go, you know, push the next map to, whether it's 216s, or trying to, you know, beat the quest Exarch and Eater and stuff. There's always something for me to work towards, and always something for me to do, which I love. I always feel like you know, I'm always busy, and there's always something approachable, but just takes a grind. And that's what I love, like, just so much about this game. It's great. So, moving on a little bit. Once again, sorry if this is, you know, kind of everywhere, but all points of progression in general, you know, whether it's the start of the campaign, or you're just getting into maps, you know, you're pushing white maps, yellow maps, red maps, getting your boss completions, void stones, whatever. All those progression points have some sort of interest to me, and I think a lot of other players, maybe not so much with the campaign, but the campaign for me is, like, I mean, you just get so many fucking skill points that you can just put in and make your character stronger quite fast compared to, you know, in the end game where it takes me a couple hours to level up if I don't die, and this character's not the tankiest, so I do die a lot. And then in the white maps, you know, the leveling kind of picks up a little bit again, but then, you know, you're really starting so let's be honest, you're starting the game when Path of Exile campaign ends. That's when you really start the game. And all the way to getting void stones, like I got all 4 void stones on here and shit. And, you know, tier 17s. I've never beat any of the Ubers. You know, I'll be trying that on my Ancestral Commander soon. And you know what, that's actually a great discussion. Bosses. We'll get into that next. So the bosses in this game are absolutely the best I've, you know, played in any other game. Maybe I mean, another ARPG. To be fair, I guess they're kind of like 2 different games, even though they're the same genre. But, you know, Elden Ring has great bosses, so I guess that would be first place. But Path of Exile's bosses are another reason that I play the game a lot. Even if I haven't beat the Ubers, I make a lot of characters, so none of them ever really get Uber ready. But Stirring Exarch is my favorite, easily. I just, you know, the music and the atmosphere, it really feels like you're just fighting this eldritch, you know, fucking god who's gonna, you know, destroy you. And the mechanics of the fight, you know, with Exarch and his ball phase and having to, you know, maneuver through all the balls and stuff like that while the music in the background is playing, or the Era world, he's like, fucking inescapable doom and shit like that. And then you have to energize the orbs and everything. Or Shaper's really good too. I love his beam. Shaper's really cool. Or the Uber Elder fight with Shaper and Elder. That's a great fight. I love that. You know, you get to fight 2 bosses at once, and it really feels like it. Like, not only is it like it feels good to beat them, it feels good to grind for them, at least in my opinion, and they feel like genuine fights. They don't feel like pushover fights that are in like D4. You know, you have bosses like Duriel or Dariel or Beast in the Ice and whatever the hell they've added now, where, you know, I can go in 20 levels under leveled the zone and I'll just fucking floor them. And even then, their mechanics aren't really difficult, and that's really different with the Atlas bosses, where you really got to prepare, and even sometimes that might be enough because the mechanics themselves are, uh, at least for me, quite difficult. Especially Maven. Fuck Maven. I have really bad memory, and her memory game is really really bad for me sometimes. So, but that's like another really good fight. I love the her final phase, even though it's like the most difficult thing for me, where she's got like the little lasers and shit that extend back and forth and back and forth while she's doing the memory game and stuff. That's like so hard, but I remember I was just like freaking out the whole time because it was like this is so fucking cool, and this was just the normal fight. This isn't even the Uber fight. Like I can't even imagine what that's gonna be like if I ever get to that. Probably not, but we'll see. And I mean, there's still a couple bosses I haven't fought. You'll notice here, I haven't fought Cyrus, I haven't fought Cortex, or anything like that. I want to try the Feared at some point as well. Like, there's still so much more for me to do. Right now, I'm really just getting into farming tier 17 maps. I don't really buy them. I kind of just go do my strongbox strategies and then just farm my own. The Ziggurat boss is fucking amazing. I'll probably have some gameplay that I'll try to figure out how to edit in of just a bunch of the bosses and maps and uh 217 bosses. I think I already did like a sanctuary one, but the game is amazing. And I do think the last thing that I'd like to cover is, well, actually no, there's one more thing before the last thing, which may have mentioned briefly again, but just the customization of mainly the Atlas skill tree. Like here, if I go over to let's just go to normal settlers, and I go to my ephemeral edge lightning strike character, and I go look at the Atlas tree, which is being able to customize this to exactly what I want. Like I remember my very first tree was like taking the Keurig nodes and stuff like that just to get my Atlas done, but after that I just went full into harvest and excuse me, sorry. Harvest is just like my favorite league mechanic. I don't know, it's just I like the colors and stuff, but I'm sure there's people out there that just absolutely despise Harvest and like I never want to see this mechanic again in my life. You get it away from me, and I'm like, I definitely feel that with some other mechanics like Ritual or like Ultimatum and all that stuff. Blight. I don't like Blight. Um, and just having the ability to block and choose exactly what I want to do is one of the most creatively smart decisions I've ever seen in a game before. I assume I got into PoE at a pretty good time because apparently this wasn't here at some point, which is crazy to me. But Grinding Gear Games did an amazing job with this. They do Delirium, Essences are another good one too. I just so many things I can do, and even mechanics I don't like that I would otherwise have to interact with in SSF, like Blight or something like that. I can still do, and it makes things a lot more approachable to me. I like learning all the mechanics. Like one thing I didn't touch with like a fucking 10-meter like pole or like stick is betrayal for a while. And then when I played SSF, I'm like, well, I need all these betrayal mods and stuff, so I should probably just go start doing it. And I started slowly learning betrayal a little more and getting all my unveil mods and stuff like that. It's just like so much learning. It's fun for me. Right, like normally, like learning, like school and shit. I'm about to graduate. I don't give a like a damn. All right, I really don't like learning things that I'm not interested in. But when I become interested in something, I love learning it. And so far, every mechanic that I've taken interest to, and bear in mind, I haven't played all the mechanics yet. Hell no. Um, I've really enjoyed so far. Who knows? Maybe Blight will be my next that I learn. It could be really fun. I don't know. I play some tower defense games, BTD6, stuff like that. I could really, really like Blight. We'll see. But another thing would be, before I get into the final thing, is GGG as a company. What I've seen them do through PoE 2 so far has been a little bit. I'm not sure what their plan is, but I fully trust them with whatever they're gonna do. I haven't been, around this game as long as, some other people have. I'd say I'm probably in the younger generation of people who play this game, definitely. Everyone's like gamer dads with like 60 kids and 50 wives, and I'm here about to start my life. But what I'm saying is, GGG is so far from what I've seen with PV1 is just a great company, and I've bought so many of their microtransactions. I bought the like the Karui Elementor pack back when that was still here before PV2 came out, and I'm gladly willing to give them more money. One, because I look sick as fuck, at least in my opinion. I love this fit, right? All these cool little. I, I love just how powerful you feel at the end of the game, and that's one of the big takeaways that, or sorry, not takeaways. This is one of the things that I love most about this game. Is just how everything looks. Everything looks so good and so fun and everything, and I gladly give GGG another fucking $300. You know, this would be like, hey, this game's great. I love supporting it. I bought tons of stash tabs and everything. The game's great. The bosses are amazing. The skill trees, the passive, or just the passive trees, the atlas trees, the builds, everything about this game is amazing. And I have never had an experience before. Every time I play this damn game, I feel like I'm playing it for the first time again. And there's a lot of games that I really wish I could just have that one experience again, like Subnautica, for example. For the two of you watching this, if you ever played Subnautica, you'll know, amazing game. But it's one of those games that when you finish, you really wish you could just play it for the first time again. And every time I pick up PoE, I feel the exact same way. But I also feel like I'm playing it for the first time again, because there's just so much to do, and I'm not gonna stop playing. A lot of people would get a mage blood. Like if I gave this to fucking the blazing blade over here, who probably doesn't need it, but gave him a mage blood, he might be a 12-year-old Timmy who is gonna have fun with it. Get diamond armor in Minecraft in creative mode and then go to survival and then get bored in 2 seconds. I grinded for this thing, 5 days into the league or whatever. I was doing the Strongbox strat, and I bought this 4 flask for 155 divine or whatever. Most currency I ever had in my stash at once, and I didn't get bored while grinding it. In fact, I was so motivated. This is my first ever mage blood, and shit, this thing lives up to the goddamn hype, bro. Let me tell you, this is one of the best feeling items I got. I'm not gonna lie, this might feel better than getting my first ever headhunter. But I mean, even after I got it, which at this point would have been like, I want to say 8 or 9 days ago, something like that. I don't know. It's been a minute. I'm still playing, and I'm in my second character, and there's still so much more I need to do, or rather, I want to do. The next thing, I actually don't have it here because I sold it, but I just the drops in this game. This is actually a big critique that I have about Diablo 4. So, Diablo 4 when it came out had really, really, really rare drops. The uber uniques. Like your mage bloods, your headhunters, your fucking Calandra's touches, just all that shit, right? Uber uniques that you can grind for fucking multiple years, thousands and thousands of hours and never get one. But the chance is still there, right? And it creates these chase items that you really, really, really want to grind for. And in D4's case, they completely threw that out the fucking window when Season 2 came around and added all those drops to excuse me, added all those drops to like Duriel, and it didn't feel uber anymore. They didn't feel rare. They just felt like another upgrade that I was just gonna eventually get, right? But, or maybe that's not a good way of wording. Just another. I'm not really sure how to word it, but it just didn't feel good to get them, But this league, after I got my mage blood, even though I grinded, I never dropped this, right? It felt so good. But one of the things I did, and maybe I'll pull up an image or something because I didn't I didn't like clip it or anything, but I was doing my strongbox strategy and got a Voidborn key. And at first, I was telling my friend like, "Hey, should I just sell this or whatever?" And he's like, "You know what? Just gamble it." And I'm like, "Okay, you know what? It's 1.5 div. I can make that in like a map or two, right?" And I opened it, and on the ground pops out leather belt. So I'm like, "Wait a minute, hold on." And I hover over it, and it's just a bunch of skulls. I got a fucking headhunter, a foil headhunter, and I showed my friend, and we were both freaking out. I was like, I've never had something feel so good before, like drop, and like I didn't even want to sell it at first because it was like a trophy to me. Like I, shit, I don't know. Call me cringe for it, but I was like, I was, I, I wasn't screaming or yelling, but like, I was just super excited about getting this headhunter, and I've never felt something like that in any other game I played really. Uh, Especially in D4. There were definitely times in D4 where I was like excited to get something, but the loot in this game feels so good. I mean, I've gotten hundreds, maybe not hundreds, but like definitely a few hundred divines. Over half of them I've just dropped raw, and every time that I drop, a divine, you hear that tink sound. It feels as good as the first time. All right, and I just don't think I'll ever get bored. Well, I mean, well, never say never. I could definitely get bored sometimes. Like, there's sometimes where shit, I'll play this game for fucking 14 hours in one day. It's my slash played. I don't know, yeah, 6 days, 12 hours or whatever. Like, I'll play for 14 hours in one day, and then other days I'll be like, you know what? I think I played enough. Not really feeling it today. Play for 8 hours, play for 7, 6 hours sometimes. Um, Mostly in the 12-hour range is what I'm playing because I'm a fucking loser degenerate who loves this game. Call me addicted, I don't care. This game's perfect. But the last thing I guess I want to cover is just the personal impact that this game has had on me. A lot of people are going to say, oh, it's a game, and, there's not real, value in it, so there's no reason to get, like emotional and stuff like that over it. And I just kind of disagree. I This game has definitely, helped me through some pretty interesting times in my life, to say the least. I'm not gonna get into details here, but definitely some rough spots in my life, and just being able to go into this beautiful game and just completely, you know, what's the word? Just disassociate from what's going on in life, and just being able to play this game and take my mind off of everything is exactly what I was looking for in a game sometimes, and Path of Exile filled that gap in for me perfectly. So that's pretty much everything. I think we're at like 40 minutes now. I don't know how the fuck I'm gonna get all the gameplay footage for this. At some point it'll probably just be this, and I'll just throw in some clips and stuff every now and there. But um, that is pretty much all the reasons I think Path of Exile is the best game I've ever played. Um, Sorry, Alkaiser, if it seems like I copied a bit of your video. I didn't mean to. But then again, you're not gonna see this, so who am I kidding? Whoops. But yeah, you guys have a great day, and who knows? Maybe I'll just casually make videos about this game. We'll see. I don't know. Talk about how I got my mage blade or something. That was really easy, actually. It was just doing strong boxes for hours a day, and I got it in like a couple days or a few days. But yeah. Anyways, peace out, guys. Uh, Bye.